reading this article that's something like, your phone is why you don't feel sexy. Well, that aside, I'm not particularly interested in that part. But there are some interesting quotes. I think the author makes good points about, well, a lot of things. But then she says they become something of a second brain. You don't have to remember something if you can record it, photograph it, or type it into your notes app. So for me, I think that's another aspect that's really missing from the whole digital detox, social media detox, blah, 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 whatever. Because it's like, even if there wasn't, the social aspect, like we put all the algorithms and the social aspect and everything aside, I'm still so attached to my collections of, images and texts and content online. Either stuff I've collected or stuff that I've created and saved. Instagram is like my personal memory book. It's like some sort of lazy scrapbook or something, and I feel like I can't give it up. And that's something that just doesn't get talked about. Like for me, it's just this constant need to record and remember and take pictures of everything all the time. I feel like if I don't take pictures every day, then I forget what I was doing that day. I don't know what the solution is here, but that's a huge component of why I'm so addicted to screens and digital media, and I feel like it's not something that people talk about very much. I also like the point that, if everything's easy, it's not valuable. So instantaneous access to everything obviously comes at a cost. The cost being that we all behave like demented Roman emperors at once bored and deranged, summoning whatever we want at any time. And to me, that really connects into what the YouTuber I was watching was talking about, with how we're addicted to entertainment and instant entertainment rather than social media. And for me, that's 100% true. Social media could, honestly, it could disappear and I wouldn't notice. I would just go back to, searching out blogs and reading things online and reading forums and blah, 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 which sure might be slightly better, but it just, because the scroll isn't endless, but it's just, yeah, you do have to, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm so sick right now. But yeah, nothing is entertaining, or it's so hard to focus and be entertained by something if you're constantly entertaining yourself all the time. And I've 100% felt that, and I've felt that like that since I was a teenager. Like, you're on, back in the day, I would have been on We Hearted and Tumblr and all those sorts of things, and just looking for that next feeling of inspiration, or searching for a feeling of inspiration, or searching for something that would really entertain me. And it's like the more you look, the less likely you are to find it. The article also says, in real life, you can't literally press replay. Sure, you can ruminate about something, but the memory will eventually fade. You can't rewatch a memory the way you can rewatch a video you posted to Instagram. And, the author makes some other points about, unpleasant things, moving on, and you get over them or whatever. But I feel like for me, it's more like I'm trying to hold on to every little positive moment, and keep it from slipping away, and keep from forgetting about it. And it's just like, I don't know, it feels, I wish I could be free of this compulsion and this desire to record and preserve and catalog everything. It just feels overwhelming to have all of this stuff cluttering up my mind. And it's, it's not just, it's my mind, but then I've built another mind. I've built a second brain, essentially, with my Notion and my journals and my old blogs and all of my saved posts, etc., 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 you know. And I'm so attached to all of this digital detritus. And the thing is a lot of it is stuff that I myself have created. So pictures and videos that I have taken myself. And I, you know, I like to look back through my Instagram stories and that sort of thing. And because I often have these moments where I'm like, oh, I did nothing. Like, what have I been doing for the past couple months? I've done nothing. And then, you know, having those pictures does allow me to be like, no, that's not true. I have been doing stuff. I have been having a good time. But I'm like, I don't know if that's worth it, because it also causes me such stress in such a weird way. Like, I think maybe to be less attached to screens and to be less attached to my phone, I need to, go some days without being able to take pictures. Because there have been times, you know, I have a really old phone and the battery dies super quick. So there have been many times where I've been out and my phone has just died. And then I will seriously be like begging my boyfriend to take pictures of things, because I just like, I want to remember it, and I think I won't remember it if I don't have a picture. And then it's like, do I ever, like, you know, my boyfriend will just give me his phone and let me take pictures, and so I take pictures with his phone, and it's like, do I ever move those pictures over to my phone or do anything with those pictures? No. I've never looked at them again. Oh, another thing, she says, on a lighter note, aren't we all so sick of looking stuff up? You know what? Maybe I go to a restaurant and it's bad. Maybe I don't know what's good on the menu before I go there. Maybe I put something in the dishwasher without Googling if it's dishwasher safe. And the funny thing is that it's something that irritates me so much because, you know, I have family members who do this, and friends who do this too. Well, did you look it up? Is it open? And it's like, well, firstly, is it open? I don't know why it wouldn't be open at a time such as this. And the place that we're going, if it isn't open, then there's another place which we would also be quite happy to go to right next door. So what is the big consequence of getting there and it not being open? That's right, there is no consequence. Then we just go somewhere else. It literally doesn't matter. Why do we need to obsessively look this up all the time? Or people are always asking me, you know, oh, you're going snowboarding. Did you check the weather? No, I didn't fucking check the weather. What is the point of checking the weather? It will change nothing. I am going on this trip on these dates because that's when I have time off of work. It literally does not fucking matter what the weather is. And it's like, oh, well, you know, you might want to know for the gear or whatever. It's like, I have the gear I have, and that's it. I'm going to take the same gear I always take and the same gear that has always worked for me. And, you know, if I'm slightly uncomfortable, then I'm slightly uncomfortable. Like, whatever. There's literally no point in checking these things if it will change nothing and do nothing. You know, it's like, oh, well, check and see if that coffee place is open. Why on earth would it be closed, firstly? And if it is closed, what happens? Then we go to the other one that's, you know, less than a block away. That's literally it. You know, check the weather before you go on a trip. Why? It's not like I'm going to stay home. It's not like I'm going to change my actions or my life in any way whatsoever. I'm just going to waste time looking at things up. I don't know why this sort of thing just drives me so crazy, but it really does. And I also have, you know, it has happened to my friend and I many times that we have checked so carefully on a businesses like Instagram and website and Google Maps and everything, and they say they're open and we get there and they're closed. And it's like, and then she's very upset about it. And that's like, but Sure, but there was nothing that we could do about that. There's no point. We'll just do something else. You know, I don't know. And it's like all the looking stuff up didn't help us in that case either. Oh, so this author is really talking more about, you know, like the feeling of sexiness and that sort of thing. Like I get it. But it's just like that's not. I'm interested in all the other sort of side things that are being said in this article. And something that or a comment or whatever that I see come up all the time is that the internet is forever. And I'm like, I wish. I feel like all of the stuff that I loved and was so fond of, just like, you know, websites shut down and stop being hosted and disappear and you lose access to your accounts, etc., etc. It feels very, you know, and also with the algorithm, everything just gets rushed away in this endless feed. Like you never see the same person or the same thing ever again. And there's no like library of knowledge or anything. I don't know. It's just, yeah, I guess the internet is forever in a bad way. Like if you have something that you don't want people to find out about or is a little embarrassing, but it's not forever in a good way. And that, you know, it's everything is so ephemeral. And it's like, yeah, things go in and out of fashion so fast. I don't know. It's just the internet is really, really not forever to me. It's really like hard to hold on to things. Like I said, I'm a very sentimental person. So like my massive, massive collection of Tumblr posts, which I have reblogged in the last, oh my God, 12 years at least. You know, there's nothing materially there. There's nothing for me to hold on to or keep. It can all just disappear in the blink of an eye. So, yeah, part of the reason why I am looking at getting some physical DVDs again. This was all started by me going on one of my browsing, you know, binges where you go down a rabbit hole of watching all these videos about quitting social media and digital detoxes and all that. And every time I watch these videos, I get to have this little moment of smugness. Like, well, I'm not addicted to social media. I don't even have accounts on most of those social media sites. And my screen time is actually very low. You know, I'm only on my phone for like 2 hours a day, which is kind of bad, but better than a lot of other people, you know, etc., etc. I don't really watch TV shows usually, to be honest, and I don't listen to music, and so on and so forth. And then it's like, I'm still so addicted to consuming digital content. Still, like, whether, you know, I'm reading forums, I'm reading on Reddit, I'm reading about classical literature, and getting mad when people make stupid ass comments. Like, that's, it's not productive. It's not productive, and it's not really very much fun either. And, you know, I'm still like, on Tumblr, we used to say the siren call of images, right? And it's so true. It really feels like addiction, and it just drives me crazy because I have so many of my own ideas when it comes to art, and I feel like I'm always on Pinterest, I'm always on Tumblr looking for art inspiration. I'm always looking for that feeling of inspiration, and it's just so dumb. So then when there's this argument then that, oh well, social media has allowed us to be more social, I'm like, well, you know, are connected to more people. And it's like, well, I don't know about, I can't speak for anybody else, but for myself, social media has not been a very social thing. This is mostly another avenue for me to consume content and to be drip fed content. And then it's like even worse because it's like the content that I get on Instagram, I don't even like, I'm not even interested in it. And yet I will still be scrolling through the For You page. Yes, I do have the Instagram app deleted. I've deleted it off my phone. But then there's another problem with that because like I said before, probably, I used Instagram as my own version of like a memory book, basically. And it's also my only way to contact like a whole bunch of people. Like there's a whole bunch of people who I talk to on Instagram, and there's a whole bunch of people who I talk to on WhatsApp, and there's a whole bunch of people who I talk to on Facebook, mostly older people, to be fair. And it's like, yes, these are people who I met in real life, and then I was like, oh, well, what do you prefer? Or they ask me for, one of my accounts on this. And then I get so annoyed because I feel like I can't delete any of these things because then I will be deleting my contacts with some group of people or whatever. It's just frustrating. And I often get this feeling, which people somebody commented on Fictionesque's video about this, like that it's like this additional stress where you feel like, oh, well, I have to get through my YouTube watch later list. I have to get through my, saved posts on whatever site. I have to look through them. I have to organize them. I have to, watch all these videos. And it's like, no, I don't. I don't need more inspiration. I don't need to watch anything. I don't need to look at anything. And so that's kind of a separate thing, I guess. I do notice, I'm not going to call myself an artist, but I do love to do my own little art projects for myself that are like physical art projects, like things that I'm physically making with my hands. Because the internet feels so ephemeral to me, and I feel like I can't hold on to, any of the things that I like or see or am inspired by. I feel like I want to create physical items out of my own mind or create physical versions of, the things that I see and I like. And the more time I spend on screens, the less inspired I feel, which, the less likely to actually do something. And I also feel like my thoughts or my mind kind of get infected by other people's art and other people's opinions. Like even if it's not related, if I've taken in too much of other people's opinions, it has a very deadening effect on, my inspiration and creativity. So I'm really like, my life is great. Why am I still numbing myself from it? Like I'm making my own problems. And I will often have, if I try to bring this up in real life, I will often have people say to me things like, oh, well, everybody needs to take a break sometimes. Oh, you need to let yourself relax. And just like many other people have said, yes, absolutely. But looking at screens and scrolling through, feeds is not relaxing. You're not relaxed. Like I certainly am not. I might become glazed, deadened, numb and stupid feeling, but I'm certainly not relaxing. People have also said, and this might just be like the dumbass corner of the internet that I happen to be on, people like to say, oh, well, reading a book is also consuming. And it's like, yeah, it is. Reading a book, sure, reading a book is consuming media. Watching a TV show is consuming media. Watching a movie is consuming media. However, I think there's a huge difference between the ritual of getting together with friends and going to a movie theater and picking out snacks and then just focusing on one film the whole time and enjoying it, or making a plan that you're going to watch. Like, I have a couple TV shows that I watch with my boyfriend, and we try really hard to, like, we're not looking at our phones, we're not looking at anything else. We are just watching the TV show. And doing that, like watching it, talking about it, thinking about it, this is so different than just having something constantly on in the background. Like watching 1 or 2 episodes of TV per week, with somebody else, and then it's like something you look forward to. Like, that just feels so completely different. So I've had to try and figure out how to enjoy movies and TV again, because honestly, I have kind of stopped watching movies and TV over the past years, because when you have this incredible amount of choice, it's the paradox of choice. I think, oh, I want to watch something, but I don't know exactly what I want to watch. And then I look at this and I look at this and I look at this for inspiration, and I read lists of, you should watch this movie if you like this movie, blah, blah, blah. And then I think, I can't decide, or I can't find something that I want. And then I just give up. And I think my time would be better spent watching a movie, even if it was a bad one, than scrolling through feeds looking for a movie to watch. And I will say that, well, reading a book is also content. Okay, yes, but when you are reading a book, when you are reading a physical book, you cannot do anything else at the same time. Like, that's all there is to it. Or, I mean, I don't know what you people are doing, but I certainly don't want to be listening to music. I don't want any sound in the background. I might have a cup of tea or something. Like, I don't even really like eating while I'm reading a book, because you're doing something with your hands. So to me, also, getting involved in, and your brain having to interpret words and, follow one particular storyline, this is just so much more relaxing than doing anything else to me. And it always has been. And sure, as when I was a kid, I used to read like a ton. I read so much all the time, and I reread all the time. And I kind of stopped that, like in my, I don't know, like in my late teens, early 20s, like when I went to university, because I was so addicted to being online, like it had gotten worse and worse and worse since my mid-teens, that I thought, I was like, oh, well, all books are boring now. Nothing is interesting enough to keep my, attention on it. And it's like, while that might be slightly true, like, you can change that. Like, I just started reading again, and I forced myself to keep reading, even if I found it boring. And there would maybe be like a little bit of resistance, and there still is sometimes, like, I will sit down to read and I'll be like, yeah, this is boring, but I force myself to do it anyway, and then I can, I just get so much out of it. It makes me feel so good mentally, and it allows me to relax mentally and physically, but I'm like still using my brain. Yeah. You should read more, and you should read more physical books, because it's good for you. And I know I'm repeating myself here, and I'm also repeating what I think Fictionesque said in her video, that if you are entertaining yourself all the time, like you're constantly consuming entertainment, or it's like it's not even entertainment anymore, it's just like passively consumed background noise, like you always have to have background noise. If you're constantly doing that, then nothing is going to be entertaining anymore, because you're seeing it, you're hearing it, you're consuming it all the time. So it's not special, it's not a big deal. And I remember, like, we're talking like 10 years ago, or just under 10 years ago, because where I'm from, we had to pay per gig of internet. So we couldn't watch too much Netflix, stream it, because then we would go over on our internet. So there was still, we watched a lot of DVDs, and I just I don't ever, I was certainly of the habit even then of scrolling Tumblr while having a movie on in the background. But I definitely paid more attention to the movie then. It was because I didn't have this, too much choice overwhelming me. I just had to pick something from my DVD collection, and be happy with that. And yeah, I really miss that. I miss the physicality of it too. I've recently been buying some DVDs at thrift stores, and do you have a DVD player, you ask? And I say, no, I do not have a DVD player. I do not even have anything that has a disc drive in it. But I can usually get DVDs for less than $1 here. So if I see a movie I really like, then I'm going to get it. Yeah. And also, I'm just going to be a hater here. I hate it that every fucking time you try to bring this up in real life, people will be like, oh, well, you just don't know how to relax. Oh, well, everything in moderation, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, I don't know about you. Clearly, I'm not capable of moderation. And then the other thing that people always say is well, there's nothing new under the sun. This is just you sound just like, a boomer who hated video games, or people said the same thing about TV, or blah, 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 blah. It's just, social media is just a new part of the media, what do you call that? The media model, how we went from print media and we had broadcast media, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not really just talking about social media. That's the other thing. People get fixated on social media and they're like, oh, well, it connects people, blah, 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 blah. That's a whole thing in and of it's, that's a separate discussion almost. But I'm talking more about digital media and screens in general, and how they have invaded absolutely every aspect of my life. Oh my God, I have to sneeze. Basically, I want to live my own life better, as I have been trying to live my own life better ever since I was, I don't know, probably 14 or something. And I was like, I need to fix this. I need to get better grades. And I don't know, I think it was in fucking middle school or something, to be honest, that I first had this thought. So that's also a whole another discussion. But I will say, these past several weeks, I have really been on a going to bed early, getting up early, not using screens while, around sleeping, using screens a lot less than I normally do. And I have been doing a lot of art, and I have been feeling a lot better about the world in general. So yeah, I'm going to try and keep doing that. Oh my God, I'm seriously so sick that I have actually spent pretty much all day in bed watching movies and TV shows and YouTube videos. So obviously it's not all bad. I just want to do less, and I have a lot of thoughts about this.